G'day, I'm Happy Dave, and in this live stream we're going to automate around about 50 images, and I'm going to show you how I do things behind the scenes for various YouTube channels. And the YouTube channel that we're going to be generating some images for is AI TLDR. Now what I'll do is I'm just going to hit play on this and show you the sorts of images and the animations that we should be able to do, and how we can look at least automating the image generation. So here we've got a bakery, it's in a snow globe and things are all moving around, and as we go through we've got various sorts of images coming through, and this was a video that got done a couple of days ago where the different prompts were being involved and we had things like animations going on. Now the AI TLDR channel is a channel where it's all AI generated, there's a fair bit of automation going on in this, and we talk on all sorts of topics from podcasts to avatars to image generators to the different tools that you want to use, 11 labs for audio, etc. But what I thought I'd do is come back to this video that we built the other day, and since we're going to create a new video on a similar sort of topic, talk about how the images were generated for this particular system. So without talking too much more, let's head over, not to the code, let's go over to a conversation. So a conversation was had a little bit earlier today where I created a video last time on, and I just put in the URL of that particular video, and what I was trying to do was come up with what the current script was, because the script for that video needs improvement. It was the first time doing a video of that particular style, and we got a fair bit of information on that. Then after that I started asking it, what other concept art videos could we do? So the one it's come up with, and the one that I want to generate images for today, is 50 mind-blowing art styles that you can generate with ChatGPT, the ultimate AI art guide. And it's got a little bit of a hook, an intro, main content, and then it started breaking things up into 5 separate categories. So the first category is classic and traditional art styles. There are 10 listed. We've got Baroque, we've got Renaissance paintings, etc. Then we go into category 2, which is digital modern art styles. After that there'll be fantasy and sci-fi, abstract styles, and the last one will be cultural and historical. So all up, 5 different categories and 50 images. So as we scroll down through this, I started working through, can we just get some image prompts, and it started designing some image prompts. Now the problem with all of these image prompts is they're not really detailed enough. This is what I might call a shot list, which gives us an idea of what we're going to produce, but we need to go in a fair bit more detailed when you're doing prompts for images, and you need to pick the style that suits the output that you're doing. So quite often I might be doing outputs to Sora, which is great for a little bit of video work. Definitely do outputs to ChatGPT that you're seeing here. I also work with Leonardo AI, but today what we're going to do is work with the ChatGPT API. So we're not going to create images directly in a chat window, we're just going to totally automate it, and we'll see a little bit how much it costs when you do it that way, and just how powerful these automations are. So as we scroll through, we get to this point where there's a list of prompts that we can work with, and I thought, no, this is not right. I need to get in a little bit more detailed. So I said, quick question, how many categories, images, and have we got prompts? It said we got 5, we got 10 images per category, and yes, they're being built. I said, do you know the best practices for target image generator? So I said ChatGPT and Sora in this particular case. Now as you scroll down, you see that it starts giving you information on how you should structure the prompt, be specific, not vague, talk about style modifiers, and the way you do this will be slightly different with each image generator, which is the reason I asked specifically for a certain type. It then gave a way of framing these sorts of prompts. Now, I'm not necessarily a fan of this with just general prompt creation for especially tools for Leonardo. They like more of a conversational style, though it should still follow a similar sort of format. So what I did was I looked at the format for ChatGPT, I looked at the format that it came up with as well for Sora and its example, and I said, can you create this more in a simple conversational style? And this is what we got. So what I've done is I've taken this particular prompt, I've pressed copy on it, and just down below I've run a generation on it just before I started this video. So let's just go down to the very bottom, and there it is. It's a Studio Ghibli style of image on whatever else was happened to be in that prompt. And what I'd like to do now is generate for us 50 different prompts that are well detailed, and then we're going to take it over to some software automation and see if we can generate them all within this live stream. So I said, can you look at the 50 images that you gave me earlier and create a flat conversation in a code block that has 50 prompts, one for each image generation or definition. You need to follow the format that we just talked about, which is single line image generation, and we'll just press enter on that, and hopefully we're going to get a black code block window, and each conversation is going to be on its own line. Now the fact that it's gone into analyzing is not a good sign in the live stream. It's going to work, but what it's going to do is actually write a program under the hood. So at the moment it's writing a little piece of software, it's run into a particular error here, but I'm sure it will figure itself out over time. And while we're doing that, we might just jump down to the code that where we're going to run this, because the reason for this is firstly I can show you some images. So this was for the previous video that was done. We've got all these 3D diorama style of images. They all look quite, they're really lovely. There's a great sort of images, and everything was generated directly into this file like that. So we're going to have to try and figure out as we go whether we can get the naming convention of these done as well. So while that's happening, let's just jump back over here because it's in the middle of creating everything. Now I said, would you like me to save the full list of 50 prompts into a downloadable file? Now, I think the first problem I've got, and this is something to be aware of if you're going to automate images, is that I don't just want 50 images. I do actually want to see them in 5 different categories in this particular case. So I'm going to put in a little bit of a modifier prompt here, and I'll say, it would have been nice if you'd have given me the folder name for the category. Now a folder name should probably be in lowercase dash notation. Generally you wouldn't use more than about 3 words. So it should be a sort of summary of each category. And then when we get the final output, I want to see the folder name and I want to see the prompt. Now this should be enough, but while we're here, I'm going to add in one other prompt. And the reason for this is that this will generate all the images, but I also want to animate them. So I'm just going to change this a little bit. Plus I want you to put a second prompt, and this prompt is going to be, once the image has been generated, how could we possibly animate it? Now for the animation to be effective, it definitely needs to reference the concepts that were in the image prompt. Now the tool that we will use for the animation is, we'll just say design like that, and it might be useful because I have done that to say, do you know the best practices for, and we'll put in design like that. And then at the end, my expectation is that I'm going to get a 3-column CSV sort of structure where the first column is going to be the folder name, lowercase dash notation. The second column is going to be the prompt to generate the image, and the third column is going to be the prompt to use in design. And we'll just make sure that that says CSV, and we'll let it run. Now, even though we're going to use an automation to do this, the automation wasn't actually set up for this particular shape of data, in that the last time I ran this which was a week ago, I didn't have any animated sort of image prompts going on. So this is all brand new. So we're probably going to have to get into a little bit of programming as we go, and I tend to use Claude Code, and we'll figure out whether we can solve problems dynamically on the way or whether we use a different technique. So here we've got the sample. What's it all looking like? Not looking too crash hot that way, so we'll minimize that, and we'll just click on this little button, and hopefully what I'm going to see is 50 new prompts all in a file. So I'll just bring it up. We'll go back to our Visual Studio, which is where files are, and I'm just going to go and create a new file or folder for us, and we'll call it Video 2. And in that, I'm going to take the CSV file that we just created. It's right here, and I'll go into edit mode so that you can see it a bit clearer. Make sure that the first header is turned on so we can see the headings. We've got the folder name followed by what's next. That'll be the prompt. It's a bit hard to see this way, so let's close that, do it one more time. What do we got? Image prompt and design prompt. So each of these represent what we want to create. Now, let's go back and have a look at image number, or video 1, where everything was created like this. And we did have numbers in front of all of them. So I want to make sure that I've got a number in front of this. The reason I want like a 1 as an example in front of all of this is that I want the folders to be sorted so that when we go and drag them into Canva or something like that, we do everything in order. So let's go and have a look at how we did the prompt file in the other video. So we'll just drag this down, and what it was a category. Well, we do have something called a folder name. We've got a file name, so that'll be the name of the file that we want it to be written to, and that should be based partly off this name. Then after that, we've got the image prompt, and we can see prompt right here, and then we've got style, size, seed, and what is the N? I think it's the number of images. So when this was being processed, everything I believe with a 0 was allowed to be processed, and everything with a 9 had already been processed. So this is essentially what we're trying to build. Now we've got to figure out how to write code when I haven't worked on this project for a week. So let's go down to a terminal window, and we'll just say yes here, and I'm going to go into Claude. And Claude is a coding environment, an AI pair programmer that we can use, and I can say and we're going to point to this prompts file that we've got right here, and where is it? It's in the video 1 location, so we'll say prompts, and we will find the video 1. A prompt file that we successfully processed before. The columns with the A in it is meant to have a 0 if we generated a new prompts file. But what I want to do is generate a new prompts file in this folder. But using the source from this particular file. So what I'm saying here is that I want to read the design prompts file, which we've got right here, and I want to programmatically turn it into the shape that we saw in this particular file, which is the one down below. So we essentially want this to become this shape, and that's essentially what I've done with this prompt. If I'm lucky, we'll see. So we'll just make it a little bit bigger, and we'll also give it a couple of other instructions. when you create the category, you can copy that directly from the folder underscore name, but currently the folder underscore name does not have a index in front of it, such as 1 dash or 2 dash, so we do need to do that. The next thing is when you do the file name, you're going to have to generate it using a similar format to but based off the prompt that we find in and it's actually image prompt. So all I'm doing is getting it to generate a file name based on that'll look something like this, but I need it to be based off the content of here. So if we're okay, we'll put it into a little file and we'll go back to terminal. And can you create the script that will do this transform and call it, and we'll find a suitable folder. Go with @video2, I think is the location we want to work with. Let's just make sure that you can see what I'm talking about. We'll go with terminal and folder @video2 / abc.js. That's where I'll create this file. So let's see whether this works. So what I've done is given a little bit of natural language instruction with the goal that hopefully this file will become this file only in this particular folder. And I called it abc.js because I don't want to, I want it to be obvious to me that it's actually available. So at the moment, it's sitting here in Claude Code. It's analyzing the different files. After it does that, it'll write the actual code. It'll then take care of adding the prefixes. This is a little bit odd the way it's doing it. It probably should have done that within the code generation. Let's just bring this up and see what it's doing for us. Do we want to create it? I'm just going to say yes and keep going. So that's all coming through right now. Let's go back to VS Code. And looks like it's all working, and it didn't put it into abc.js, it actually put it into a file called transform.js. So we have our little program. The next step is just to see whether we can run this. So it's telling me that we can cd into it and run it. So let's try that. We'll just say yes, and we have this new file called prompts. So that just got generated for us. Actually, we can't see it. So we've just run that script and we've got this new file called prompts.csv. It hopefully is the same format as that one. So we'll bring that one up the top. A category file name, prompt style size seed. It's all the same size. Let's see how many are in it. It's got 50. This one had 80, which is fair enough. These are all starting with a 0, which is great. What we should now try and do is see if we can generate a bunch of images off this particular script. So what I'm going to do now is figure out how to use it. And I'll say, I think I can just go to this little command that I already put in place, and maybe it's called prompts.csv. Let's just see if it runs. I'm just going to press enter. No active prompts found in the file. So that sounds fair. I wonder why that is, but 0 is inactive, 1 is active. Okay, there's the problem. So I'm not going to programmatically fix this one. I'm just going to go in there and select them all. So all these zeros are all going to become 1, and we'll go back to iTerm, and we're going to run it one more time, and it looks like it's now trying to create an image called a highly detailed Renaissance style portrait of a woman. Now, where the heck is it going to do that? So let's go into Visual Studio, and we've had a new folder get created right here, and we'll just see what the name of it is, and we'll click on that, and we might just close down a few of these windows. What's that? It's trying to delete. I might just save that. Okay, first image, there we have it. Second image, what is this? An abstract cubist painting. Cool. So we've lost number 2 somewhere, so there may be a little bit of a problem. Usually if I was doing this, I wouldn't be doing it in a live stream and just winging it, but so far this is potentially coming together. Let's just have a look at where the script is up to at the moment. A pointillist, whatever that was, woman, has been created, and now I can see part of the problem. So if we go back to our code, this is 1-5. So I think when I previously did this, I was doing 2 images per prompt, and this is why we're going from 1 to 3 to 5 to 7, because I didn't consider that when I was generating this, but here's the 4th image being generated right here. We've got it. So now the good thing about this is it's in the middle of generating images. If I head over to billing within ChatGPT, we'll just click on the web view. This is where we were when this session started, so $5.03. Now I'm just going to hit refresh and just see what the numbers are now. And it is $4.83. Oh, so it's going down. Okay, so we've used up 20 cents already. And how many images have I actually generated? Let's come back here. I'm onto the 5th image right now. We'll go back to VS Code and we'll click on there, and we've got a new image. So by the time it gets through these 10, we've got 5 of them created right now. It will go and create the second folder for us. So this is one classical traditional, and the next one, when it gets created, we'll just figure out where the files are for that. It should be in there. Should be 2-digital modern. So this is really just a quick, because it was something I had to do today, I thought I'd just show you how behind the scenes I'm creating images on autopilot. Not necessarily happy that we don't have the sequence correct, because they look like they should be okay here, but come back to VS Code, and what are we doing? We're generating an image called a clean vector art illustration of a tropical bird. Just minimize that a little bit, and it's taking a little bit of time, this one. So if the thing is, if I was doing this directly in ChatGPT, I do automate it, but it takes about 2 minutes per image. These ones usually take about 30 seconds, and I could go off to lunch and come back and they'd all be done. And that one's done. It's now moving on to the steampunk airship floating, which I'm going to end the live stream before we get to that, but let's just go back to Visual Studio and see what we just got created. It's gone and created it in the new folder. So I wasn't paying attention to where these got created. So here are the new ones. They've all come through, and we're moving on to number 3 here, which is the fantasy. Okay, very cool. What's that one? A minimalist poster of a red circle on white. Clean vector art. Synthwave cityscape. We've got that. Vaporwave aesthetic. Pixel art. Fantasy village. Cool. And the last one going on here. Vibrant anime portrait of a young girl. So with that said, I'm going to end the live stream. I'm Happy Dave, and this is essentially how I've been looking at animating images in a certain style of video that we do over on AI TLDR. If you're interested in learning more on how to vibe code or how